Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I am going to be returning to my coverage of Master of the Game by Gary Gygax. This is, as I had said, I would be returning to during this week because on Monday of this week we celebrated International Game Masters Day. A day that was created to memorialize the passing of Gary Gygax on March 4th of 2008. And so what better way to do that celebration by not only just doing it on one day, but to extend it throughout the week. So I will be doing, although I have a little bit of catching up to do, I will be doing a video every day of this week, sometimes 2 or more videos in a day. Just to get caught up for the week. And today I'll be taking a look at what Gary Gygax had to say about preparing for becoming a dungeon master, and so what you kind of needed to do in order to be prepared to step into that role. So without further ado, let's go right to the PDF. So I do have the original book here. I was glad to see that some people actually went out on the lookout for it, and they got it a lot cheaper than I did. So congratulations to you. But I am certainly happy to have spent roughly $60 on a very pristine copy of this. So great to have gotten it, even at that inflated price. But it just wasn't around at the time. So if you're lucky enough to find this anywhere, especially, at a library sale or anything like that, absolutely jump on it. There is a chance that perhaps these things can come out of the Gary Gygax estate and be republished as well, which I would certainly welcome to see that happen. So that would be pretty awesome too, to, get some of Gary Gygax's books that he wrote post TSR and get those out there into the wild. So without further ado, let's jump right into this short chapter. It is a very short chapter. So I will go to this here, and here we go. So chapter 3, where to begin. Mastery begins with the game master. If there is a desire to excel, then it is only a matter of a little time and effort to achieve the goal in readily noticeable fashion. You have the desire, so the next step is to spend a little time and effort in critical analysis of your game mastering, your campaign and its component scenarios, the player group, and the rules and systems you are using in your RPG. As you do this, remember the definition of a role-playing game and refer to my first volume, Role-Playing Mastery, if you feel you need a refresher. And I will certainly go back to that possibly tomorrow, and I will show precisely what he's talking about from that book to match up with this. Building and maintaining a library of reference and fiction works is the first major step in the formation of a game master, a master game master, and it is an unending task. This author has many thousands of volumes and is in the need of a librarian, which are supplemented periodically by old and new works. Publishers Central Bureau, Avenel, New Jersey, and Barnes & Noble catalogs are most useful in this regard, but there is absolutely no substitute for periodic visits to your local bookshop. Now, of course, he's writing this in the late 80s, early 1990s. Let me actually get the actual date that he is writing this. So this is 1989. So certainly pre-eBay and other things like that, okay? Quite frankly, oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a whole section here. When it is impossible to purchase books, use the library, but it is strongly urged that you obtain your own copy of each and every book which you find generally useful. There are out-of-print book services which can often obtain older books, and rummage sales and library sales are a real boon to the serious GM in pursuit of building his or her library. Love the fact that he says his or her, right? So getting right back to debunking that whole idea that Gary Gygax didn't think that his games were for women. The various Time Life books series are usually quite helpful for general reference and inspiration. Bibliographies in such collections are most helpful in finding further, often better detailed source books. Quite frankly, there is virtually no work which won't be found to be of some value to the aspiring Grand Master Game Master. For as orchestrator of a whole world, the RPG milieu, you have to know everything. Good luck. You are consigned to a lifetime of reading and research, with criticisms from those who happen to find some flaw, real or imagined, in the fabric of your creation. That too can be useful. Find their sources, pursue them, and use whatever you like. Being a Renaissance man or woman is a tough job, but someone has to do it. Early in the creation of a campaign and a game library, the aspiring master game master will encounter sizable financial considerations. The sheer time required was discussed in the previous chapter. Here, financial considerations also mean the sheer cost of purchasing material related to gaming. Works of fact and fiction for the library, which every Master GM must have, can certainly run into 4 figures these days. Add to those costs the expenses of attending conventions and purchasing all of the other material needed for a master gamer. The monetary limitations which might restrict your development towards mastery are easily seen. Fortunately, students can utilize school libraries for research, and there are other ways to reduce costs. Share the purchase and ownership of games with the gaming group. The players will certainly be acquiring gaming materials on their own, so coordinate with them to avoid duplication. Ask or hint that your family and friends buy game products or useful reference books as gifts. Buy products needed at auctions whenever possible, and purchase used books instead of new ones. Trade materials with other enthusiasts and support your growing library in every way you can. A good library contains periodicals as well. Consider honing your writing skills with an eye towards having articles published in RPG publications. In amateur magazines, they earn free copies of the magazine, while prozines with typical pay sufficient for you to cover the cost of subscriptions and have a fair amount of cash left over to spend elsewhere. Once you begin to build your library, some filing system for keynotes and information is necessary. Whether it be the use of 3x5 index cards, notebook, or computer, or some combination thereof. Note down items of interest such as settings, new or ancient cultures, scientific gadgets, and any other thing that strikes your interest or inspires your imagination. Keep your notes organized according to the method you find easiest to utilize by topic, game type, or level of interest. Regular maintenance is a must, and a good system is needed, or else information might be lost. Keep a pocket recorder or a notebook with you, and without much effort, all sorts of useful information can be compiled for game use. Next, is there excitement and a sense of continuing wonder brought forth continually in the campaign? Does each adventure place characters in perilous situations where risks must be taken to overcome the hazards of antagonists, traps, and nature's opposition? Now it is time to examine the RPG system utilized for your campaign. Does it meet or exceed the requirements you desire in the game system? Do you as a GM understand and utilize the components of the game in proper measure and with understanding of purpose? You are aware what you must do to be a GM, and you know what an RPG should be and how each of its components serves to make it entertaining in a unique way. If the system you use fails to meet the requirements, it is actually the game. Or might it be the way you are mastering it? You can begin your mastery by working on the aspect of the RPG if shortcomings are evident. Next comes the campaign expression of the RPG system. Again, the milieu you have devised for the player group to interact in and with should fit these, and I'm sorry. Again, the milieu you have devised for the player group to interact in and with should fit the system of the RPG with whatever modifications you and your associates have found to be desirable. Basically, he's talking about, making the system work for your table. If the campaign fails to meet the basic RPG standards and or the ones outlined in Role-Playing Mastery, you must seriously consider what to do. Would the enjoyment of the group be enhanced if the campaign were altered so as to offer all elements of the RPG model? If not, why not? These queries are particularly valid in terms of campaign longevity. Short-term enjoyment might well come from systems and or campaigns that neglect key elements of a complete role-playing game. But in the long-term analysis, it is not probable that they will prove viable. Hopefully both analyses will show that all is in order. Now examine the sagas, multi-episode play scenarios, and adventures you have for use in the campaign. Do they consider the components needed? Do they have a sense of wonder or an excellent game, the problem-solving challenges and conflicts? If they do not, it is up to you to correct the shortcomings. If so, then you are pretty sure to have a satisfying and eager group of players who look upon you, a superior GM, maybe. Now it is time to examine yourself. Are you fulfilling all of the roles you must as a principal participant in the campaign? If so, do you do so with enthusiasm and full application of your abilities? Go over the list of duties and then consider the nature of the RPG play. Do you allow group play? Encourage? Do you promote all facets of the role-playing experience, including acting, use of mannerisms, change of manner, role assumptive play by the game persona, play within a play, expression of traits, and exercise of character knowledge, skills, and abilities? Is there thinking involved in the solving of problems that are posed, and is each player's creative and imaginative talent stretched thereby? At some point, is there the thrill of having to combat deadly adversaries or the possibility of losing the character to such dire opponents in one way or another? And finally, there rewards to be gained commensurate with the success achieved, and is success likely? To ensure continuity, you should tailor the campaign and scenarios within it so that through good play and no more than average luck, a player's game persona has at least 95% chance of surviving in some form or another suitable to the player, or else the player's interest in the campaign and possibly the campaign itself will be short-lived. Now go back and apply the whole directly and solely to yourself. Do you, as a GM, roleplay with fervor? Do you convey this fervor? Do you do so in various facets given? Do you convey the wonder and excitement needed? Are your campaign's hazards in proportion to its promises, or is the play too easy or too difficult? Consider all of that. Make adjustments as needed. Then work to keep the caliber of your participation high and of the new sort you've decided upon. It is very probable that at such a point you have become a master game master. Wait a bit, though, for there's more to come. Your personal attitude towards your players and theirs towards you should be one of respect. That's due to each of us as individuals in the first place. Player participants will take their cue from the GM. Fun at a player's expense is a very transitory form of enjoyment. Fun because of the game is another matter altogether. And that doesn't preclude occasionally making a player or the player's game persona the butt of a joke. As long as there isn't one poor fellow that's always the goat. That's shared fun, actually. Furthermore, you can expect the players to retaliate now and again, making you the butt of their jests. This is healthy, normal, enjoyable, and enhances the whole experience of group gaming. All of these examinations and actions should take place before early in the creation of the game. They are part of a series of important questions that the master game master must continually ask himself in his quest for higher achievements. Placing the theory into practice is what should follow. And then we'll get to chapter 4 next. So there you have, quite a bit of what he's basically saying as far as preparation, but most of it is preparation for the campaign. Sure, he goes into the aspects of, building up your library and organizing those pieces of information that you're going to gather from multiple sources to bring into your campaign. But I think what's more important is the questions that you're asking yourself that he suggests you do. Tailor the campaign to the experience that that the players are having, or you want the players to have. Tailor it to your own likes as well. Tailor it to, and that means tailoring the rules to match up with those things as well. So it really does take quite a bit, and he didn't mention a session 0 or anything like that. But he does mention in the tail end of that passage that a lot of this needs to be determined before you even begin play. He refers back to, what is a role-playing game? And I certainly will follow up this video with that segment from his book on that. and to constantly remind yourself of that, constantly remind your players of that as well. And um, the one place where he talks about it that I know some people are going to disagree with is that last segment where he's talking about the at the table banter. Um, Gary Gygax clearly understood that you're a group of players playing at a table, and that what is going on at that table isn't just the role playing and you're immersed in the story of the player character personas and their experiences. He's talking there about the interactions that's going to take place at the table as well. And it very much is a social game. And it's meant to be a social game between the players, as well as between the player characters and the NPCs and all of that. So both can happen at the same time. Or at least during the session, you could have both things occur, and it still be role playing, and it still be it still be a game. It's I don't see how you separate from having 5 or 6 players sitting at a table and how you separate them from their actual selves and go directly and remain the whole time for 2, 3, 4 hours or more, just within the characters. I know people claim that that's how they play. I don't believe it. Just to be honest with you, I do not believe that it is possible to do that. That it is that there is going to be no out of character table banter taking place during the course of the game session. Not unless you are taking very, very frequent breaks and breaking away and doing this or doing that or whatever. I just do not believe anyone does that. This is not on the set of a TV show or on a movie set where they're saying action and then you're in character the whole time, and then there's it's start to finish 3 hours straight of nothing. Even a movie set doesn't work that way. There are multiple breaks that are going in there. People occasionally forget their lines, and then there's a little banter in with that. Sometimes some actors even do practical jokes during the things, and so I do not believe, and Gary is pretty much laying it out here as well, that anyone is fully immersed to the point that they don't hear their name called. If it's yelled out several times because they're so immersed in their gameplay, or there isn't going to be a break in character where someone makes a funny comment and then you just go into the regular friendly banter and then you go right back into playing the game. All right. We are not actors. We are not running off a script, and we are not under the time constraints and the money expenditure of wasting time per se at the table. There's a difference between too much dead time at the table where people are sitting there indecisive, and then yes, that gets boring. But as long as the action is moving forward, fairly well, and the everyone is participating, virtually equally across the board and everything, and as long as you're accomplishing something during the session, then it was probably a successful session. So I know some people are going to disagree with that, and you're welcome to do so. jump in there in the comments and point out and say, hey, then you're doing level 1 or 2 or at the most 3, and you're not hitting that 4th dimension of role playing, and that's fine. Then I'm fine with being at 2 plus or 3, just to put that out there. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. And again, if you can get your hands on this, it is a phenomenal read. It's it really is useful to pull out some of those pieces you do not have to agree with. I don't agree with 100% of everything that Gary Gygax wrote. And I did that in some of the other chapters when I went through it, and I was like, you really don't need to get to precisely that. I will never organize my collection the way that he was talking about doing it. I have a pretty large collection. I do reference different game systems, and I do pull pieces here and there, or at least ideas and inspiration from many, many different sources. So I agree with him there. But I'm not running a card catalog for that kind of thing. Maybe, back in the day, you kind of needed to do that more so. But, it's there is a bit of a time difference here. He's talking in 1989, and so there has been large advancements, obviously over the last 30 to 40 years when he was talking back then to compare to now. And so you might have some differences of opinion with what he's saying here based on the different time frame. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. As always, leave your questions and comments in there in the comment section. If you also have this book and you're going through it as well, I'd love to have a chat with you there in the comments section or wherever you'd like to. If you're going to do your own video breakdown of this, I'd love to see it. So just, send me a shout out there and tell me, hey, I'm doing the same thing. Come look at my channel and see how I'm covering the book. I'd love to do that as well. So, as always, thanks for stopping in. I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. And, at a convention, coming up next month, I'm going to be at next month? Yeah, next month. I'll be at a convention next month. Looking forward to that, and have another one in June, and then another one in September, October, somewhere in there. So you'll have a great one. Take care.